So let's talk about something that might seem strange. How can refugees, all fleeing the same war, have completely different lives just by crossing a different border? Today, we're going to dig into that by looking at Syrian refugees in two neighboring countries, sectarian Lebanon and non-sectarian Egypt. Let's get right into it. This is the big question, right? You've got one war, refugees from the same culture, but their day-to-day reality is worlds apart, depending on where they end up. And the key to unlocking this puzzle, as we're about to see, is hidden deep inside the political DNA of the host countries themselves. First, let's just try to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this. Since 2011, the war in Syria has uprooted over 13 million people. It's so important to remember, this isn't just a statistic on a screen. We're talking about one of the largest movements of people in modern history.
Okay, so to really understand our central question, we first need to get a feel for what life on the ground actually looks like. What are these two very different experiences we're talking about?
And honestly, the difference is like night and day. In Lebanon, life for a refugee is often a constant struggle. We're talking social friction, legal nightmares, and just a daily battle for survival. But then you look at Egypt. Now, life isn't perfect there, of course, but there's a much greater sense of stability, a more functional relationship between refugees and the local community.
So, to figure out why things are so incredibly tough in Lebanon, we have to understand the enormous pressure that country is under. It's not just one crisis, it's like a cascade of them, all happening at the same time. I mean, just look at these numbers. Lebanon, a country with only about 6 million people, has welcomed an estimated 1.5 million Syrian refugees. Think about that for a second. That means nearly 1 out of every 5 people in the entire country is a refugee. Imagine the strain that puts on everything: schools, hospitals, jobs, you name it. And this huge influx of people is happening while Lebanon itself is frankly falling apart. The country is still reeling from that devastating port explosion in 2020, its banking system has completely collapsed, and its government is often paralyzed. So the refugee crisis isn't happening in a stable country, it's happening in one that's already in a state of free fall. This quote from refugees on the ground, well, it really gets to the heart of it. It's not just about a lack of resources. It's about the system itself. Syrians consistently say that the whole system feels like it's designed to be discriminatory and to exclude them, which leaves them in this constant limbo, both legally and financially. So what is this system they're talking about? Well, this brings us to the absolute root cause of the division, a political structure called sectarianism. Okay, so this word sectarianism gets thrown around a lot. Let's be really clear what we mean here. It's a political system where power is officially divided up among different religious groups, like Maronite Christians, Sunni Muslims, and Shia Muslims. This isn't just backroom politics. In Lebanon, it's the actual foundation of the government. And this sectarian system has shaped the long, very complicated history between Syria and Lebanon. Back in '76, Syria actually intervened in Lebanon's own brutal sectarian civil war. Later on, it built a major alliance with the powerful Shia group Hezbollah. Then in 2005, Syria was forced to pull its troops out after massive protests blamed it for assassinating the Sunni Prime Minister Refugee. You see, every single major event has been seen through the sectarian lens. All of this history, which is often really violent, doesn't just disappear. It creates what researchers call a sectarian memory. It's like the ghosts of these past conflicts are still very much alive today, and they're the ones directly feeling the fear and suspicion that shape the exclusionary policies and social tensions that Syrian refugees are facing right now. And you can see this sectarian memory baked right into official policy. Lebanon deliberately calls refugees displaced persons, not refugees, because they want to avoid any possibility of permanent settlement. Politicians are terrified it could upset the country's delicate religious balance. And this isn't just about what you call them. It leads to real-world barriers, making it almost impossible for Syrians to get legal status or find steady work. So that's the picture in Lebanon, where politics is fractured along these religious fault lines. Now let's totally shift gears and see how a different political system creates a completely different reality for the very same refugees. Let's take a look at Egypt. This table right here, it basically sums up the entire argument in one glance. On the left, you've got sectarian Lebanon, with its fragmented government. What does that lead to? Inconsistent, exclusionary policies, and ultimately a lot of social tension. But then look to the right, to non-sectarian Egypt. The government is more coherent, which allows for a unified national strategy, and the result is a more stable coexistence. Now, I want to be really clear about this.
Egypt is not some kind of paradise for refugees. The country has its own very serious economic problems. But here's the key difference. Because the government isn't formally divided along religious lines, it can actually create a single, unified plan for managing the refugee crisis. And that just leads to more stability for everyone involved.
So why does all this matter? I mean, why is understanding this distinction so important? What can we actually do with this information? Let's see how we can take this analysis and apply it in the real world. The thing is, this knowledge isn't just for academics. It's a practical tool. For government ministries, it shows exactly why a fragmented approach just doesn't work. For local city authorities, it can help them build better, more inclusive strategies. And for all the NGOs and aid groups on the ground, understanding this political reality is absolutely crucial for designing programs that can actually work. Because at the end of the day, that's the goal, right? When you understand the deep political reasons for all this tension, you can stop using these generic, one-size-fits-all solutions. Instead, you can design aid and policy that is actually tailored to the reality on the ground, and that can help build a future of fair integration and social cohesion. And that leaves us with one final, really important question to think about. If a refugee's entire future can be determined by the internal politics of the country they flee to, then maybe we can't separate humanitarian aid from politics anymore. So how do we have to rethink our entire approach to actually be effective?